In this episode of Modern Greaser, you actually learn things. In fact, we install a wheel bearing in less than an hour. Oh my goodness. And we have so much time, we decided to ride tires and play with tires. And I still haven't figured out how to keep a tripod from falling over. Discover all this on this week's technical episode of Modern Greaser.
On this episode of Modern Greaser, we're going to be doing technical things. And if you're going to be looking for an episode where I'm driving some nice car and blabbing on about nothing that has nothing to do about the car, it's probably not even factual, then you got the wrong episode. This one, you're actually going to learn something. And that the something is it's 6 o'clock at night. It's going to be dark here. It's the first day of daylight savings, and I've got less than 2 hours to change a wheel bearing on this 4Runner. Now, there's the hard way and the easy way. The easy way costs a little bit of money, and the way that we're going to do that is we have a hub assembly that is attached to the wheel bearing. So it's already pre-pressed in. So it's a little bit more money, but it will save you half a day's time sitting there pounding it out if you don't have the right tools. I don't have a press, so that's gonna save me a whole bunch of messing around. Before you go getting in the air, make sure you break the lug nuts loose, because I just remembered that. As you saw, I took and loosened up the lug nuts. However, I tightened them back up just to show you this, and you might want to do the same. See how it's going back and forth? Wobbly, wobbly, wobbly. It shouldn't be doing that. That is a bad wheel bearing. Oh yeah. So the next thing you have to do is you actually have to take and unloosen the bolts back here that hold this caliper on, which are back here and here. So when you get this caliper off, you don't want to put a tension on that line, so you want to pull that clip out of there. So you can take this brake and set it off somewhere safe. Best way to tie the caliper out of the way with some zip ties. In order to get this brake disc off, I took my hammer and I actually tapped on the silver part. I kind of tapped out here on these outside edges, but tapping on this silver part of the hub right here, there is no bolts or anything that you need to pull out of the hub here, and that is how we just kind of broke the rust free in order to get this brake off. Now, there are literally 4 bolts back here, and I'm hoping to pop this sucker off. There's 1, 2, and then there's 2 more on the bottom. Should be able to just put that in like so. There's an O-ring right there, so make sure you get rid of that. And to clean up that edge a little emery cloth on there, as long as it's not too much. All that crap out of there. Crappy crap. Probably a rag would be good, but I'm not even going to do that. Just going to plop this sucker in there. Oh, did the wheel bearing just fix itself? Oh, look at that. Oh no, that was too easy. Oh no. Hey, guess what? If you want to know what side the dust cover goes on, it's a little dimple. Or you can just look at the other side. Bing! Fits right in there. It only goes on one way. Try not to spend $600 on something that should cost you an hour's worth of time. Make sure you tighten all your bolts down to factory specs, because that's what I'm going to do, right? 1 Toyota, 2 Toyota. 1 Toyota, 2 Toyota. So if you heard Ozzy Osbourne's song, it's about the crazy train. When you get this new wheel bearing on here, it's gonna be the gravy train. I'm going off the rails on a gravy train because it's gonna steer so smooth it's like gravy. You like my license plate from France from 1988? Wheel bearings are something you should actually take very seriously. On the last car, the 67 Galaxy, there's a video about it. Someone didn't do the ball joints correctly, and 2 people while they're driving it, the right side and the left side fell off while driving. Luckily they weren't on the highway, but the wheel actually came off, went into the wheel well, and the car slammed down onto the ground twice. And I had that car up to 80 on the highway a few times driving around, so it easily could have been a pretty bad thing. So I like the wheel bearings that are actually pressed into the hubs like this, because it's one less thing that you can screw up. So it's all kind of about safety. No. So I know I joked about torquing down some of the bolts correctly, but you know, ball joints and things like that, and wheel bearings and all the front end suspension parts of your car aren't a big joke. You got to definitely take it seriously. So that's me telling you, be safe out there. Okay, I was able to get the disc brake caliper back into place. It plopped right into place after I cut the zip tie. Make sure I get our clamp in, our bolts in, and we're good to go. Vehicles are pretty sophisticatedly manufactured machines. There's some pretty tight tolerances on things, and I'm struggling to get my 2 caliper bolts in, and I'm going, why is this fighting me? Obviously, I'm not gonna put a wrench on them because they'll strip them out. Well, the caliper, or I mean, the brake disc, don't let me call it a drum here on Modern Greaser. I kind of live in the greaser days a little too much. Started to shift, sitting on here cockeyed. So I need to make sure that that is set in place so that my caliper is on there set. Otherwise, it'll skew this in the back and these won't go in. And sometimes I like to crawl down in here, get a good nice looking in on it so I know that she's going in, and it should go smooth like butter, just like that. Seriously, don't ever force something, because when you start forcing stuff, putting wrenches on things that should be easy, it's when you run into issues. Treat it nicely. Treat it like you like to be treated. The benefits of having so much extra time by spending more money on the hub is you get to play with the tire a little. Oh, ow, ow. Question yourself while you're watching the show. I literally just hurt myself riding a tire in the driveway. Not using any fancy sockets. I'm just using a crappy $100 Husky box and a bunch of garbage in a toolbox. Nothing fancy. This might seem a little fancy, but it's literally $100. Now, anybody that knows real tools knows this is not fancy, that this is junk, but make sure you go one across from one another. So if you start here, you go across to the one diagonal from that furthest away, and then the one across that way in a star pattern. Now look at, no weeble wobble. I have my jack with my jack stand. I put the jack stand underneath it, and I also leave the jack as long as I can work around it, or have both jack stands. This time I was only on one side, so I only had one jack stand, but make sure you get jack stands. Don't ever work underneath the car with just a jack. Safety is important. As you can see, the definite pros on doing the work yourself is you can get $600 worth of work done for $150 and less than an hour's amount of time. With filming all this, it's been an hour and 15 minutes, and now I get to put the cool truck back in the garage and park this piece of garbage back where it belongs. Wow, this thing feels like a million. Oh, I was like, boy, that steering's tight. Oh, my e-brake was on. Yeah, no crap, it feels tight. Oh yeah, that's like brand new. Ooh, smooth like butter, yeah. It's so smooth and creamy. Ooh, that's nice. Fudge! Please don't tell my wife I just tipped over our nice camera. Oh, look at that. It's like creamed corn. If cars could be creamed corn, this car would be creamed corn. Eyes on the road, please, 10 and 2. If this car was creamed corn, this would be it. I mean, nobody wants to hear this. If you're watching, you might as well just stop, because this is utter nonsense. Ooh, what's this guy throwing in the garbage? Ooh, what is that?